No bailout for the Italian banks. Find out more now. Okay, it looks like there's no bailout for the Italian banking sector. Uh, Listen, I knew that the ECB has been stalling on this for the last few months. They've been negotiating back and forth with Italy, back and forth, and deciding and mulling it over and everything. And they talked about all these bailouts and stuff. But here, it's finally coming to the fore now. The European central banks, it says, might allow certain banks to collapse in the era of unprecedented monetary stimulus is ending. In other words, they're getting tight. It's kind of like if you had your brother-in-law, and he is constantly coming up and asking you for money, and then he'd go and gamble or whatever. And then the next day he'd be coming up and he'd ask you for more money so that he could go and to the stripper club. You know what I mean? And then you knew about this, and you were working, but you're giving him this money out of your pay, and you needed this money to pay your bills. And you kept giving him this money after months goes by. A few months goes by, and all of a sudden you start to think to yourself, I can't keep giving him this money. I need it. And this is what's happening. They're finally hitting the point where these pigs nations, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, and all this, are getting, they're like the brother-in-law, and they just keep taking more and more money. And they're finally, the ECB's getting to the point where they say, we just can't handle it anymore. And they've been mulling it over for a little while, but they're finally coming to a decision here. And here's the decision. They're going to allow certain banks to collapse. Now, what about this? What does this mean? What this means is we have to go back to the Lehman era, back in 2008, when we started to see big banks collapsing. And it's a very dangerous scenario when big banks start to collapse because of interbank lending and stuff. We just don't know how it's all tied in together. And once it starts to go down, I mean, it's tricky, because of derivatives and derivative contracts. But nevertheless, they just cannot keep this game going. The ECB is running out of patience. I'll read it to you again. The European Central Bank might allow certain banks to collapse as the era of unprecedented monetary stimulus is ending, putting bailouts for undercapitalized banks burdened with bad loans into question. That's it. They're making their decision. And they're talking about Banco Monte dei Paschi here, and they're talking about... it says, in specific cases, consolidation may also take the form of unwinding of banks if they become unviable. Daniel Noy, head of the ECB Supervisory Board body, told the European Parliament on Thursday. So the ECB is finally getting down to the nitty-gritty here. That they're just not going to go through all this bailout business anymore. They were starting to pull away from the bailout business back. Do you remember the BAARD when they wanted the bail-ins rather than bailouts? And they put it into law in the European Union. It was called the BAARD resolution. And they got all the countries to sign it that they wouldn't get any more bailouts. They were going to have bail-ins. But the problem is in Italy, if they do a bail-in, they're going to have bank runs. So this whole situation could be actually coming to a head very soon. You're going to have to stay tuned, and you can read this article for yourself. It's in Sputnik, and you're going to have to stay tuned and find out what's going to happen here. It says too many banks in the Eurozone suggest that the ECB has acknowledged the limited efficiency of its stimulus measures. There you go. They're losing patience. They're not going to be able to keep it going for too much longer. The ECB also is coming to the point where their monetary stimulus is reaching the end of that as well. And so we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Thank you very much for listening. Like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.